Alright everybody, welcome back to some more Sercacraft. It is I, Xilestar, and today, we're not doing any more of the science stuff. So hooray for that. So a lot of things have happened off screen, of course, is for other stuff, so not really gonna get anywhere. Just in case I didn't say this during the last time that I was recording, I'm feeling much better now, so no coughing, hooray for that. And of course, for the most part, the ship is pretty much mostly done in terms of the signs, except for, of course, the barrels, because I still have these farming ones that I need to put away. And there's also the, what's it called? Ooh, what is it called? Oh, right, that's for creative mode stuff. What is it called again? What is it? It's the... I think there's shulker boxes down here. I haven't really had much time to play on Sercacraft, unfortunately. So I think I still have to empty out these bad boys. Yeah, I haven't really had much time to work on this. I might try and get some done over the week, but I might not have enough time to go do that. So yeah, so a few things that I wanted to kind of update you guys on because of the fact that you guys will be seeing these videos before those ones. So because I ran out of Servercraft videos, so you'll be definitely seeing this right off the bat. So first of all, uh, hopefully this will happen the way that I'm thinking it should. I'm hoping that we will have a fantastic time for it. Uh, so the idea, or the thing I wanted to say was that excuse me. Okay, so the thing I wanted to talk about was that my Oblivion mod that I've been working on behind the scenes, I've been doing a lot of work on it, and it is getting very much well finished, pretty much. I should have gone down. I should have stayed up there, so we could go to the bed. But yeah, so like a lot of work has been done, so we'll be able to see at least that work when we're done with the Shivering Isles. We're close to being done. There's about maybe one more session of it left, I think, and then that's it. We're done. It's over. We can continue onward with what we were doing. The plan that I have is that while I did say during the very beginning of the series that every 5 levels that our character goes up, we will be doing a quest mod. However, I think I just said a mod, but just in case I did say a quest mod, we're going to be changing it this time because I'm going to count the Shivering Isles towards being a faction to be done. By the way, I'm just going to journey around the world so that we're not stuck in arcanix since we've been there for like 2 sessions already. Let's go and enjoy the world. So yeah, so since we've just finished the Shivering Isles, or we're about to be finished, I want to sort of use that as the quest mod, and then after that, I want to use something to show at least a little bit of what I'm working on. It's not going to be one-to-one, but it's going to kind of show you guys exactly what's going on. So at the very least, everything will be finished. I just finished a majority of the work for a future update, so that would be awesome. But for the current one, I have just finished off, or the update that we will definitely see, because the update that I'm working on right now is we're definitely not going to see it for a long time. But the update that we're going to see not too long is mostly finished. I have added up all of the items in the vanilla game to being a sigil stone in terms of their enchantments. So we will be able to go and use that. I haven't updated them. Oh, I haven't updated the models of the containers yet to the way that I wanted them to be. Yeah, it's fine. It's not going to take that long anyway. But it should be pretty much easy to do anyway. I've also changed how my mod sort of interacts with the other versions of my mod. So, like, if you've seen the first... Was it the first special? I'm not quite sure. It was one of the... I think it was the first Oblivion special. Not first Oblivion special, but, like, for the first Oblivion sort of channel special. I used a... I showed off all the different versions of my mod, or my mod sort of in its progressive state, pretty much. So pretty much what I'm doing right now is I'm actually going to be merging all of them together. So that way, though, like if I want to use, let's say, the Battle Butler armor or clothing, pretty much, I can use it. It'll be attached to the mod version that we're going to be using way in the future. It might not even be during the modded playthrough. It might just be during what I was hoping to do later on, was return to Oblivion, let's say 2 years after we're done, or maybe after we're done End Roll, because that's the plan after we're done with the Oblivion modded playthrough. We'll do a few Oblivion mod playthroughs of different quests, and then we'll go do End Roll right after. I thought I saw more hay bales. So yeah, so once it's done, we'll definitely go and I'll definitely go and show off what I've been doing with that. The other thing that I wanted to sort of talk about for the Oblivion mod is that while the enchantments are technically done, its final location isn't done because I haven't really done any work on the lair or the hideout. Because, well, to be fair, for me to do the work on lair and hideout, I have to do everything by hand, and I really don't want to do it by hand. But, I mean, I'll still try and spend some time on doing it, but this week is definitely not going to be the week for it. Because something is coming out during the middle of this week. I'm hoping it's not going to be a repeat of last time that I was planning on it. So, hooray for that. So yeah, so that's mostly all the Oblivion stuff. I just literally about 2-3 minutes ago, I just finished off working on a huge chunk of the update for the most part, and I have learned my lesson to not mid-update during the modded playthrough, since that's kind of ruined our storage and we nearly lost every item. Because apparently what I do with the previous version is I don't bank them anymore. So I'm going to learn my lesson. So for the new one, I'm going to do that as we go along. And if you don't know what the new version is, in case you don't watch the Oblivion stuff, or in case I might have mentioned it, but you guys just don't remember, one of the versions of my mod of what I wanted to do was create a castle that would be representative of just like what happens if Drathis were evil and wanted or Archimus took over control from Drathis and sort of was the Dark King himself, pretty much. But the story is going to be slightly different because of, well, the story of how this place is going to be. So, hooray. Oh, is it still time? I thought it had ending. Anyway. So yeah, so this new one is going to be sort of a different story. I'll try and put lore books around. It's not like I'm going to, like, distribute it or anything like that because I definitely don't have permission to go and do that. And plus, I wouldn't be able to, if that makes sense too, because it is using DLC assets. And as far as I am aware of, you cannot distribute a mod that has DLC assets. So, and mine will definitely be using it. There's the dogs. I was wondering where you guys were. So yeah, so like with all the DLC assets that I'm going to be using, we can't really be I can't really distribute it. But what the plan was going to be was that maybe I'll do it during the Nehrum one. I'm not quite sure. But one of the specials I wanted to do was about Nehrum, so I wanted to kind of do that as well. But maybe what I'll do instead is that while I will do it for Nehrum, during like for the description of the Nehrum video, what I'll do is I'll have it so though like it'll kind of like it'll have like a link that will direct you to all the different versions of not the different versions of the script, but like all the scripts that I'm currently using, with an explanation of what each individual thing is at the top of it, and it'll also give credits to anybody who has actually helped me. So that way, though, like they get the proper credit for what they did. Mind you, one of them you could already find on the Nexus anyway. It's just not the current version that I'm using. That's the only difference. But other than that, yeah, like there's one you can get on the Nexus already, but it's not like the version that I use. I can't remember if we updated it later on, but I don't know if he updated the version he put on the Nexus. Maybe not. I'm not quite sure. Yeah, you guys just kill sheep. There you go. Yeah, because I don't remember. Anyway, yeah. So if this new version becomes like more and more like I've already put so much work, I'm not gonna give up on it. But yeah, I mean, if I would have given up halfway, I probably would have just said, you know what, I am just done with it. I'm just gonna go and trash it and just say, nope, we're not gonna bother. No. Anyway, yeah, we're not gonna bother with it anymore. We're just gonna leave it alone, pretty much. So pretty much most of the work that I did throughout last week, was it last week or the week before? No, it was last week. So last week, I changed all of my everything pretty much to being instead of beginning each and every one of the editor IDs with AXM, I changed it to 0AXM. I stopped. The reason why I did that was because I kept getting tired of having to type in AX in order to get to my scripts, so I'd rather just have them be 0. There's a few issues that I have with several things, so I want to ask somebody who's been helping me with making the scripts anyway, and I want to ask him like why this is happening, because some of the stuff doesn't make sense, but the other things, like I don't want to say they don't make sense, but like I don't understand because okay, so for some reason, for instance, my quests that I have, which I do have quests, I have the one in which that you'll interact with, and then I have like 4 other ones that you don't technically interact with, but they do exist. And for some reason, those quests won't save under the scripts for some reason. And I was trying to figure out why, because I know for a fact that quests can have a number in their editor ID. I've seen it on many mods before. But I'm wondering if it's because it has a variable. And that might be the reason why it doesn't exactly work. But I could be entirely wrong, though. There you go. So yeah, so I'm gonna try and get through that hopefully this week. Hopefully before something terrible happens again. Oh, you guys aren't hurt? Okay. There you go. So yeah, so the other things I found that wouldn't work is global variables, which confused me beyond belief, but I don't really care. And then the other thing that had to change, which I did find documentation of, was about persistent reference names. There's not a bed in here? Okay. So if you don't know what a persistent name or reference editor ID or however they want to word it as is that whenever you want to create a object so that it can be referenced later on a script or I don't know. I think it's just in a script pretty much. I don't know if items have to have persistent references. Anyway, so pretty much if you want to make sure that like, you know, a script can utilize an item, you need to make it as a persistent reference that though like, well, it exists and it can be called upon later on by a different object or something like that. So in the case of most of my stuff, I have like, of course, my Conjure Thy Storage spell, which allows me to access storage through this spell pretty much, so though I have like a universal backpack in a sense, that one does in fact have to use this reference editor ID. So when I was trying to figure out why it wasn't registering when I added because I added 0 in front of everything. So when I'm trying to look and figure out like why it won't accept the 0, I looked into it. I didn't look at the normal source that people use for the construction set stuff. I looked at the unidentified Elder Scrolls pages because they do have a construction set thing, and it told me straight up that like do not use numbers because it doesn't like it pretty much or something odd like that. It's like it doesn't like you putting numbers in the reference editor ID. So I'm like, oh, okay, so I do have to use AXM only for those stuff, which is fine. That's not a big deal because you don't technically interact with it in the menus and such like that of the thing, so it's fine. But everything else is okay except for one of my factions, which I use specifically for the Thieves Guild chest, so though it's always like you can't access it because you're not a part of that faction, or it's a chest you don't own, but technically you do. Yeah, that one for some reason didn't like it, so I'm gonna try and figure out why that one didn't work as well. But mostly it's the quest names, the global variables, and that one faction that is always so that confused me the most about all of that. So that's the thing, and I just want it to be done and over with, pretty much. So that's Oblivion for the most part. I got to work on the DLC stuff. I have started on the blank sort of template for them. So though at the very least, though, like it'll make it slightly easier, but you know, it's still gonna be. I still got to go make the items, so it's not gonna be that big of a deal. Most of them I think are leveled, so they're not gonna be too difficult. Just got to do one and then just keep copying and pasting over one, so that it's easier just to do the other levels. And then after, this is going to be way into the future. This isn't going to be right now. So for all of the enchantments, I followed the list from, I'm just going to say how I pronounce it, USIP, or the Unidentified Elder Scrolls pages, pretty much. But I found out on some of the items that they are not listed the same way as they would look in game. Some of them do, some of them don't. So unfortunately, I have to go back and I have to go fix those items so that they do show up as they would in game. But for right now, it's not that big of a deal. It's just more so just me nitpicking at that fact that, like, oh, I have to go do that because it makes more. Because to me, it just looks better if it just looks like that. Is that How did you get your boat here? What? Anyway. But yeah, so for that stuff, like that can be later on, but all of them are done for the vanilla items. So all the vanilla items that are attached to any armor, clothing, or weapons that are not staffs, because apparently since Oblivion doesn't have a normal enchanting method for enchanting staffs, because there's only one instance and technically you don't enchant it, somebody else enchants it for you. There is no way to enchant staffs. So unfortunately, can't do staffs. I thought I might be able to, but again, I didn't know how sigil stones kind of work, so meh, couldn't really do it. But everything else is done for the vanilla stuff. So all of them are done. All the leveled stuff is all correctly accounted for in terms of their power levels and such like that. The only thing is that I am going to add some of the things that are only available if you glitch the game. So there is 2 items in the arena in which that you can only get if you not glitch the game, but like if you sort of just like if you exploit the game in a way. So we're going to be adding. So I did add those items. One of them is broken, the other one is not. Well, broken is in. So another thing that I wanted to add, and I might just add it to the newest update instead of just the current version that I'm currently still working on before I do anything, is that I'm going to be adding some training items. So what these items are going to do is that they're going to allow you to, well, not really allow you, they're going to help you sort of train up your skills. So what that means is that I got to figure out how it works exactly. So this might be subject to change depending on how easy or how effective it is, pretty much. So if this does work, hey, that's amazing. That's going to help me out so much. But if it doesn't, then it's like this is just a failed idea. Yeah, the wolves are gone. That's fine. But yeah, so like the idea is that like you would have an item. I'm probably just gonna make them rings since it's gonna be much easier to just to plan around rings instead of just having like an amulet or having an orb. Mind you, an orb would be the best, but it's just annoying whenever you load up this yes and it's like, did you know this thing is not attached to a body part? We want you to attach it to a body part, please. It's like, no, just leave me alone. Or what I could do is just attach it to like a cape or something like that, since they're always on the tail slot, and there's very little items that attach to that slot. The only thing is that if you're playing as an Argonian, or because you're not gonna have your tail. But yeah, like I could do that. It's not that big of a deal anyway. Anyway, what these items are gonna do is that they're gonna drain a skill based off of what you want to train. So let's say I want to train my blade. Well, right now, my blade skill is at, let's say, 35. So obviously, it's going to take a lot longer for me to train a blade from level 35 to 36 than it is for me to train a blade from level 10 to 11. So what my item's going to do is it's going to drain that specific skill down to, like, a lower number, so that it makes it easier to train to get towards that higher number, pretty much. The only thing is that I don't know if that's how that works. But I'm hoping that it is, because if that is exactly how that works, that's amazing, because that helps out so much. But if it like obviously it won't work for a modded playthrough character because Oblivion XP kind of doesn't allow us to naturally gain skill level ups. So we have to wait till we level up in order to level up our skills. But for normal Oblivion gameplay, it would probably make it a lot easier to just train. I'm trying to remember everything else too. But that's one of the plans that I was thinking about. I might not even execute it. But I want to do an experiment of it at the very least. Oh, another thing that I wanted to mention before I move on to the next topic, because I'm kind of hard pressed for time here, is that for now on we're going to be changing the mod that we're currently using into a master file. So though like the leveled equipment and the mod additions have to associate with the mod at its current level. So there's that too. But it makes things much easier. Plus, it makes it harder for me to sort of update without having any issues. Anyway, to the next topic. So, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet sort of DLC. So, I'm going to have a real problem with this if it turns out just like how Crown Tundra worked. What am I talking about? So Crown Tundra was supposed to come out in my area on October, I think it was 22nd, I think. It was October 22nd or 23rd. It was one of the 2 days. For some odd time. So I literally made sure that I had nothing planned that day and that nothing would happen that day, so though I would need to be pulled aside or anything like that. Like I would need to cut the recording short or anything like that. So I was going to enjoy playing Crown Tundra and recording it for the channel. And of course, I waited the entire day and nothing. So I waited until, I think I waited till midnight. Nothing happened. So I took a nap and I woke up at 5 in the morning just in case it was a weird time zone thing. And it didn't happen again. So then I was playing other games while I was still checking to make sure that, Isle of Armor is working now. It didn't. So I think I checked like every hour or 2 hours, and then nothing was happening. So I was really confused. And then, of course, I fell asleep because I was tired. Then when I woke up at around, what was it? It was like the next day at like midnight, DLC's out. I was like, you're freaking, like, you're joking. Like, you are literally joking. So that was that. I was really angry. So hopefully this doesn't pull the same stunt. I did the exact same thing as I did before. I have nothing planned for that day. So hopefully it's going to be just like Brilliant Diamond, where it's only like 5 minutes after midnight and I can just immediately play it. Now, I don't know if the Australian versions get the DLC a day early. I don't really care. That's not really my my style of doing it. I don't mind waiting, like it's not really like I would rather play the game a day early than everybody else. But, like, even if I were to have the Australian version, I still would only upload it the day of the game's initial release for my area. And the reason why is because, like I'm pretty sure there's probably just more than just me thinking about it this way too, where it's like I don't want to be spoiled on the game before I get before I myself get access to it. And I think it was the same thing for, what was it, Legends Arceus, I think, or was it Brilliant Diamond, where people got it like a week ahead of time, and I literally stopped like going to my homepage on YouTube because literally that was literally everything that spawned in. Was just, hey, you can play it for, like, you can play it early. It's like, oh, I'm not watching any videos now. But just as an update, I did do the Mewtwo raid. I was almost a little late. I thought I was supposed to start it later on in the month, but apparently not. Or what I mean is that I thought it was supposed to start on September 3rd, but it's supposed to start on September 1st. So I was like, oh, I'm a little bit behind. So well, I didn't get it done on the 3rd. I got it done on the 5th, but I just changed my, I almost said DS clock. I changed my Nintendo Switch clock so that it was on the 1st. So I should probably go switch that back. But yeah, so I ended up get out of there. So yeah, so I did do the Mewtwo raid. Apparently, I don't know why I did this, but I remember I got the Mew event, and maybe it was because you can reroll for the Mew's Terra type. I'm not quite sure, but I remember specifically getting the Mew event, and then saving right after. And then for some reason, when I turned on my Switch on, I think it was the 4th, I found that I didn't have a Mew on my Scarlet, and I thought that was very strange. So I thought, oh, I put it in Pokemon Home, obviously. So I checked my Pokemon Home, and again, it's not there. So I got very confused. So I went back on my Scarlet, and I looked through the mystery gift, and I went, hey, what was the last mystery gift I got? And it didn't show the Mew one. So I'm like, oh, so I guess I'm gonna get the Mew again? And then I got the Mew. And then I think it was it the 5th or the 6th? I can't remember. It was some day. Anyway, I went on online just because like I didn't bother with the NPCs and stuff. But I did grab a build that was supposed to be really good at soloing the Mewtwo raid. So I thought, oh, with like 4 players instead of the AI, it would be much easier, and it was. So I have the Mewtwo, which is awesome. Well, I don't say barely spent any time, but yeah. Am I still gonna go on the Mewtwo raid? Not really feeling it, but it's an okay raid. Better than the what was it? The Pikachu. It was Pikachu, and there was another one too. There was another one that infuriated me. Was it Greninja? Or was it the one before that? I can't remember. It was one of them. It infuriated me so much. I just wanted to just do once, catch the Pokemon, and just stop. Can't remember what it was. Anyway. Yeah, so that happened. I think the last one before Mewtwo, the Rillaboom one, I didn't know what it had, and I made it incredibly harder because I moved in with my Koraidon, and I'm like, oh, we're gonna be doing like so much work. My Koraidon has like Swords Dance. We have the Sun, and like the whole works, and then all of a sudden it's like I'm using growth, and it's like, oh, I just made it become stronger faster. Oops. And then every time I tried to go online with it, to try and get the Rillaboom, everybody kept running in with Koraidon. I'm like, you're not helping. You're making it worse. But yeah, so the final thing I want to talk about for that is that like I've been trying to plan around the Pokemon that I want to use for the DLC. I have 4 that are ready to go. So we're good to go for the DLC. Once the DLC drops, we'll be able to start off with the party that I want to use. So hooray. I think maybe only 2 of them are trained or EV trained. Maybe? Froggy! Yeah. I think I have 2 of them trained. I might double check though. I would love to check now, but it's not worth me just loading up the software and then just switching over. Plus, I don't even know if I were to change the scene if it would just like transfer the recording over to there. And just to not cause headache, I'm not going to do it. I might have one of them trained. I might not have trained the other one because I thought the other one might have been weak. But yeah. I also transferred all the legendaries that I said I was going to transfer. That's fun. So I was going to transfer them for a while, and then I kept forgetting. So yeah, so I found the EV spread that I wanted specifically for the Arcanine, or for Hisuian Arcanine. I thought about it for about 5-10 minutes. Yeah, I think it was like 5-10 minutes. I was looking at Arcanine and I was just trying to think like Arcanine stats, and I was thinking about what I would like, and I was trying to make sure that it all made sense in its own little way. So I chose like this EV spread. You'll see it's probably okay. So I should probably talk about this before I continue onward with the whole Arcanine shtick. So the whole thing about what I wanted to do was that I wanted to do a random Pokemon Scarlet session. It could have just been a complete and it would have been fine, but I wanted to make videos of Scarlet before the DLC dropped to show where I was at the current moment and what I have done so far in my game. And while I did kept putting it off, like, oh, you know, the DLC is going to come in about a month, I'll have more than enough time. And then this happened. The DLC is coming out this week, and it's like, oh, I missed the opportunity. Hooray! So the idea was that I was gonna, because I think I said I was gonna try and figure out how much all the clothing in the game costed, and I was gonna show it off on, not on camera, but I was gonna show it off in a not a spreadsheet, but I was just gonna say like how much, if you wanted to buy all of the clothing options in Scarlet and Violet, how much would it cost you? And I kind of wanted to do that like each and every time, and then all of a sudden, you know, like I think I originally wanted to do the recording in July, and then I got sick, and then I didn't feel like doing it. Yeah, was it July? Yeah, it was July. I have no idea what you're doing. Yeah, whatever. Anyway. Guys need a new arm golem. Anyway. Yeah, so like, so when July came about, I was like, okay, I want to do the recording, but I was sick. I was barely keeping up with just doing Sercacraft. I think it was Pokemon Silver at the time. Yeah, it was Pokemon Silver at the time, and of course Oblivion. So I was like, I was very stressed over it. So I was pulling it off until I felt at least a little bit better, and that never happened. So of course, because I never felt better, that never happened. And even now that I felt better, I was trying to make sure that I had enough videos of the 3 that were normally there, so that at the very least I would have more than enough time to be able to do that. And then I think the Pokemon Talk, I think, or what was it? The Pokemon something or whatever, said that it was coming out in September 13th or 12th or 13th, I think. I don't remember. And I was like, okay, I have a month to do it, and that's fine. I can definitely do it within the month. And then the day that I did, or technically within the 3 days that I did, like two of each for sessions, which was mostly just working on the arcanix signs for, of course, Sercacraft, and for Oblivion was mostly just to try and finish off the Shivering Isles, and for Crystal was just to do as much as I can, progress as far as I could. I completely forgot about doing Pokemon Scarlet. And then now it's just too late, because even if I were to make that recording, I would halt it. So, hooray. Now, while you will hear this during those videos, mind you, this will probably be uploaded after the fact, so it won't really matter anyway, but I'll at least know that I said it before the DLC happened. We're gonna be up. I'm gonna be recording a lot the day of the DLC. Maybe we'll just finish it the day of. I'm not quite sure. But for the most part, I'm gonna try and do as much as I can on day one, and then hopefully when we're sort of done, Cerebi might have more data for us to sort of do like any of the side stuff, maybe. So that'll make things much easier. I mean, either way, I'm gonna be doing Pokemon. Like even when Pokemon Sword and Shield came out, I did everything within like day 3 of when Isle of Armor came out. Like I was done everything after like the 3rd day of the DLC coming out. Either I was... Wait, was I done everything but the Diglett stuff, or was I done the Diglett stuff too? I'm not quite sure. Maybe I waited until day 5 for the Diglett stuff, but pretty much I was done. I finished everything. Finished the story, finished getting all the fast travel points, doing all the other side stuff. Like, I was done all that. And then later on, I found out that, you know, the Diglett stuff gives you free stuff, so I was like, you know what, I'll do the Diglett stuff too. So hopefully they don't do a Diglett thing again. That thing was annoying. I never want to go do something like that again. I don't know, the legendary footprint thing, I didn't mind it. It's not something that I would love to do like over and over and over again, but I don't know, it wasn't that bad to me. Kind of made it look like you were like a legendary hunter kind of thing, like you were hunting down the legendary Pokemon. I don't know, I thought it was pretty interesting. Was it tedious? Of course, but, you know, like, that's just how that stuff is. So yeah, so hopefully the Arcanine build that I made, I don't really like its move pool, but then again, Arcanine doesn't really learn many good, like, I don't want to say status moves, but, like, it doesn't learn any good, like, setup moves. Like, it can't learn Swords Dance, it can't learn, like, Nasty Plot or something like that. Like, it doesn't learn anything, like, that good. Which is very sad, but, eh. I mean, if it could, it would be an amazing... Like, I would have given it so much. I was making a joke with a friend that, like, if the Arcanine had the capability of getting, like, Dragon Dance as an egg move or something like that, I would do it in a heartbeat. I'd give my Arcanine D-Dance any day. Especially for, like, the Hisuian one. I think normal Arcanine can just make do with just Swords Dance, or just something that's, like... or bulk up or something like that. But for Hisuian, no, it needs that speed boost more than just any defensive boosts. yeah, that's just pretty much my thought on that. Especially the Hisuian Arcanine build that I have. I didn't look up anything. I just saw that its hidden ability was Rockhead, and I'm like, ooh, I have an idea. And then I looked at its move pool, and then I found out it had 3 recoil moves, and I was like, ooh, now we have something to play with. So I'm hoping that the level cap, or not really the cap, but just the level area, pretty much, of the, I can't remember what it's called. Is it the Teal Mask one? Or am I confusing, like, part of the titles together? I don't know. Anyway, before the levels of the Pokemon that we're going to be going up against, I'm hoping that it's going to be like Isle of Armor, where they were like level 65s to 67s, like pretty much like mid 60s to like early 70s in terms of levels. So I'm hoping that they're going to be about the same. Mind you, literally, if I didn't know about the Isle of Armor, I probably would have just still beaten it with just my Rillaboom from my sword. I had a level 100 Rillaboom by the end of before I even did the Elite Four challenge thing or whatever. Pretty much like before you could fight Leon, I already had like a level 100 Rillaboom because I just did a bunch of raids. And that's exactly what I did. I had a level 100 Rillaboom. And then I found out that I was technically at the end of the game. So pretty much day 1, I beat Pokemon Sword. If I didn't have to wake up, I think it was early the next day, I probably could have beaten it day 1. Because I think I woke up at 5 in the morning, and then that's when I played Sword. I mean, without bathroom breaks, I definitely would have been able to beat the entire game. But without bathroom breaks, without needing to go eat and all that stuff, yeah, I definitely would have beaten it day 1. Even beating Brilliant Diamond day 1 was a challenge. But I did have like an hour sort of like time to wait and just do all that stuff because of the fact that like I needed to edit the first session, so that was done, and I was very surprised of how long it took. It was like very short, so I was like, okay, we can do this. So yeah, so I was very happy about that. But for the most part, like, I'm very excited, but of course we're gonna have the same challenge rules as we did with the base game, except for one of them is gonna be a little bit changed, but it's not really gonna matter too much. So of course we can't use items in battle unless or at least we can't use items in important trainer battles unless that trainer themselves have used an item, which means we can't like sort of like item scum, or however you want to kind of word it as, the AI. Or we don't get like a free turn of heal because of the fact that like the opponent didn't heal, or the opponent healed so they didn't attack us. So there's that. That will definitely always be a rule. The second is that any Pokemon that we catch, we have to use Pokeballs. Now this is going to be different than the original playthrough, but we don't have to use Pokemon that are only in Pokeballs. We can use Pokemon that are caught in Cherish Balls or anything like that, so long as the original sort of like if you can catch, like if you can only get, let's say, the Pokemon in a Cherish Ball, you're allowed to use it because you can only get that Pokemon in Cherish Balls. But for the case of, let's say, the Raid 7 Mewtwo, pretty much, if you could have caught it within a Pokeball, but yet I caught it, let's say, with an Ultra Ball, then I can't use it. Because while I could have caught it with a Pokeball, I chose an Ultra Ball. But I didn't. I actually caught it with a Pokeball. Anyway. So yeah, so this is mostly just so, though, like, it sort of, like, allows me that I can use the event Pokemon without having too much of an issue. Which I wouldn't use them anyway. So the 4 Pokemon that we're going to be using for the DLC is going to be the... Well, I have to check to see if I didn't do anything with them. I'm hoping I didn't. If I did, then I'm going to be horribly mistaken. I don't think so. I think I did... Maybe. I'm hoping I didn't, though. The idea is that, like, I was going to use the Arcanine, of course. I leveled it up to 67, and then I stopped it. So level 67 is its current level. I used, I think, 2 rare candies, I think, on it. So, like, it's exactly at level 67. But for the other party members, we're going to have the Walking Wake and Iron Leaves. I think they are the level of which you catch them. I have to double check on that. If they are not... because I think I leveled up everything in that box to level 100. If I did do that, then, yeah, we're not going to do that. And the final Pokemon we're going to be putting in the party is my level 92 Iron Valiant that I have. That's a shiny that I nicknamed Iron Maiden, which I thought was very funny and very cool. The Iron Valiant is there just as a safety net. I prefer to have something like that. So something that, like, if I were to, let's say the Arcanine, the Walking Wake, the Walking Wake, I don't really care, and the Iron Leaves were to fall to an enemy because they just have somehow a really powerful Pokemon that is just so, like, so dumb that it's just that powerful, we have an Iron Valiant that can take over for that battle at the very least. Because I don't... Did I ever lose in Scarlet? I don't think so. Oh, no, we did. We lost to Mela. That's right. That was like our one and only defeat, I think. I don't think we lost again. But then I found out that we weren't supposed to go there that early. But I didn't know that, so... I'm pretty sure that if my channel was much bigger, I'm pretty sure that a lot of the comments would be like, you're not supposed to go there that early. And I tell you that, how am I supposed to know that? I thought that all the rumors that the game wasn't level scaled. Was all just to build up a bad publicity about the game. So I was like, there's no way they're not... Like, if they're going to make an open world game, you're going to level scale everything, right? Yeah, it turns out they didn't. It's one of those things where, like, you got to see it to believe it, whereas, yeah, it's something you got to see it in order to believe that, like, oh, okay, they were telling the truth. Do you guys not have hay bales here? Okay. But yeah, so hopefully all of that's going to be done. Yeah, so the plan was that... Okay, we're going to talk about Sercacraft. So the plan was that hopefully, like, I could have finished all the Oblivion stuff that I needed to do earlier to be done before Uh, well, the time that I'm recording now. Because that was the case, I was going to start working on the storage and start putting down the signs. They're all done and ready to go. I just got to move them over to the 1.20 server that we're on right now, as you can clearly see. But of course, that never happened. I always underestimate how long it takes for me to do stuff. Okay, so how long did it take for me to do that second area? It took, because I started around, let's say 6:30, and I ended off at about 11 o'clock, so that's about 5. But then I also did some before. So we'll say about, I thought it was going to be like a 3-4 hour, maybe even, we'll say maximum 5 hours. It took about 8 or 9 to do. But to be fair though, the part that I was working on now took a lot longer because there was more stuff to move around. So yeah, there's not much I don't want to say that. There's not much that I could have done about to speed it up, but yeah. Hmm. So I don't technically have a mod in particular for Oblivion that I want to use as the like the Oblivion mod playthrough for the most part. I gotta double check all the mods that I do have and see which ones that I'm more interested in. I'm thinking though that probably by the time we get towards the area, it'll probably, or by the time we get towards the upload, it'll be around Halloween. I'll have to double check because then I have an idea of what we could do. I know the Oblivion mod playthrough won't make it, but maybe the Oblivion modded playthrough will make it. Because I think we'll definitely be done. I mean, if I don't upload completes, the modded playthrough will definitely make it. But the mod playthrough might not. And of course, between the mods, we're going to be putting in sort of a session that's going to be doing side stuff. I got to figure out which ones I still need to do. I know there's a mod out there that allows you to sort out the quest log in a way. I might go pull that up and see if I can use it for at least making it much easier for me to differentiate between like which quests I've done and which quests I haven't done. But yeah. Also, as another update for Sercacraft, I haven't really been working on the 1.21 base, as you might already be aware, because I've been working on the Oblivion one for the most part, and then of course, well, technically the Pokemon one only took like what 20-30 minutes I think to prep. For just getting the arcanix to be finished is taking a lot of time. So once all the storage is done, I can start going back and working on it. Just right now I keep adding stuff to it. Keep adding stuff to my plate, and I'm just like, why do I keep doing this to myself? Like, why do I keep like adding more work on top of it? This is the whole, like, that's the whole reason why I only do like 3 games at a time is because of that specific reason. I just don't want to overburden myself with like 20 or 30 games and such like that because of the fact that like I'll feel so overwhelmed that I just won't do anything anymore. Then at one point I did 4 games, and then I think I did 5 games technically. And then again, I don't want to say I felt overwhelmed, but like I felt like there was nothing really too much else to do. I think that's all the updates for the most part. Whoa, that looks very cool. Yeah, except for one of the things I got to work on for the 1.21 base is that I got to make sure that it looks. I mean, it's got to look kind. I don't want to say perfect. It's just got to look like it's somewhat presentable. I mean, right now it's not really that presentable, but it will be soon. I know the one fixture. I'm going to call it a fixture. That I want to do is I want to make a giant cherry tree. It's not going to look that great, but I really want to. I really want to make one. So I got to figure out if there's a giant tree that somebody's made. It's not. I don't want to say too tall, but it's also not too thick either. And just recreate it. Oh, also something else I wanted to mention too. And this is about Oblivion. So, while I was playing around with the mod during the modded playthrough, I was talking about many different other things, like a replica of the backpack. So if we like the look of the backpack, but we just don't want it to constantly say, "Hey, would you like to access the backpack every time you crouch?" I have already done that. So there is a replica. It's not accessible right now, but I can. But that's just because I was just wanting to make it and then just work on making it accessible later. I've already created a replica of the Dark King's armor. So a replica that won't require you to use a spell in order for you to use the armor. This version you'll be able to gain in a container that, well, the current version will probably just be in Sanctuary. The later version, it'll definitely be in Lair, so there's that too. I'm trying to remember everything else too. Right now, one of the things I definitely have to work on for my current mod project is that I got to move a few things around. I think there's like 2 mods I think I have to move around. One is the companion one, so that at the very least we can bring Tess over, which will be amazing. Tess will now finally be a part of the main mod soon. And what's the other one too? Well, I still got to work on the castle part, and then I got to work on the lair and hideout. But for those ones in particular, I'm going to try and get those ones done. After I get the basics done with what I'm currently working on, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on Lair and Hideout. Then once Lair and Hideout are finished, then I'll incorporate them into both versions. So the Lodge version will have the Hideout and the Hideout and what's the other thing? The Hideout and the Lair built into it. And I think for the Lodge version, I'll have them having their individual banks kind of thing. So the individual models for their banks, because that's what the plan was. But for the castle version, it is not going to be that way. And I want to explain why I don't want to do it. It's because the castle version is going to be much bigger than the lodge. So one of the plans that I wanted to do for the lodge is it's already kind of working the way that I'm envisioning. The only thing is that now I got to figure out if the version that I am currently working on is going to actually work the way that I feel like it's going to do it. So what I mean is that the whole bottle ship area is going to be one cell now instead of two separate ones. The only thing now is that I got to figure out how am I going to make the local map look so though like you can't see that you've seen the local map from the exterior to the interior. Although it appears like it's two separate areas, but in actuality, it's the same area. So that there's no loading screen to it, is pretty much what I'm trying to get at. Oh, really? Bamboo? Anyway. Upgrade a village. Nice. Yeah, so once lair and hideout are done, that'll be awesome. That'll be majority of everything that I need done. And then once I can get the castle finished, that'll be awesome. Because then I'll have because then the castle version will literally have one of everything that I've ever actually worked on. And that includes like scripts and stuff like that too. The only difference, of course, being that I have to change all of their IDs. Because they're all with the old ones. That I think I used to do. And even I think the revised version of that too. So what I mean is that like the old sort of tag that I used was DMR for all of my mods. So though it would make him, since I don't think anybody actually used DMR in terms of their mod name or their sort of creator name, so I think it fit perfectly. And then later on, I found out that having DMR took way too long for me to go down the menu. So then I added an A in front of it, so ADMR. And then when I converted my mod to be used for my channel, I changed it to AXM, which stands for A Xilestar mod. And technically, the 0 in front of it is not really meant for anything. It's not a symbol or not symbolism of anything. It's just because of the fact that it's on the top now of the editing of anything, pretty much. And I've also just sort of like recategorized like each and every container and, well, not really static object yet, but I recategorized every storage of where they're actually located. Except for some of them. So every container that's actually in the lodge now begins with 0AXM lodge, and then whatever that container is. So if that container, let's say, is a crate, it'll say crate 01, or barrel 01, or chest 01, or whatever. Then I think same thing with the ship. The ship is like 0AXM ship, barrel, ship, sack, ship, whatever, right? And same thing with Sanctuary, except for Sanctuary, I didn't type all of Sanctuary, I just typed in Sanc. SANC. and that's just so that way though, like it's short, but it gets the point across. See, the only one that I can't really put it shorthand is Hideout. Hideout, I have to put the full. Because Lair makes sense, but Hideout, see, I can't put like hide because then it makes it's strange. 0AXM, hide chest. Like, what? What does hide chest mean? Is that where you store like your hides from wolves and stuff like that? Like, what does that mean? So if you put a hideout chest, it goes, oh, it's the chest for the hideout. That makes sense. Yeah. But again, right now I haven't really done any of that stuff. So the thing that I've been working on is actually going to be the platform in which that the castle is going to be rested upon. Because I found a mod that had a place in which that was actually pretty perfect. It just had an area in which that I didn't like, so I just removed it. And then I found out that I couldn't do it the fast method, which was just move it from where it was to a world space. Every time I tried to do that, it kept crashing the CS. So instead, what I had to do was that I had to slowly move everything over to the world space and make sure that all of it is in the same place. So with the help of the laptop, it made things much easier. I'm not even joking. It made things so much easier for it that I literally don't even know what I would have done if I didn't have the laptop. I probably wouldn't have done it. I probably would have put it on the back burner for so long that it probably wouldn't have been doing anything. So now all I got to do is I got to grab the test companion and move all of that stuff over to the new main mod, and then same thing with the castle. I got to move it over towards that because obviously I couldn't move it before. So I got to move the castle over, and then once the castle is over, then it'll be placed on top, and then I'll be happy. The castle will have a platform that it can stand on, and it'll be great. And then this version will also have NPCs, I think. The thing with the NPCs is that I gotta learn how NPCs and how to make them in general. So I want to have a trainer for each and every one of the majors of each and every one of the skills, not major skills, because it doesn't make any sense. Of each and every one of the skills, which makes sense. And because this sort of castle is going to be within the heart, I want to create the 3 ghosts of the Master Craftsman, the Master Enchanter, and the Master Spell or Master Sorcerer. Not Spell Master, that didn't make any sense. So what these 3 ghosts are technically supposed to do is that the blacksmith will repair your equipment just like a normal person. If you want to go to like a blacksmith area, you can ask them to repair your equipment at the cost of gold. And recharge station, which is the same thing, but you have to go to the Mages Guild and then you have to ask the recharger to recharge your items. Again, gold for the recharge. And for the sorcerer, which would give you all of the... Do I want vanilla spells or do I want all my modded spells? I think I would want all my modded spells. I think. Maybe, I'm not quite sure. Maybe I'll go with all vanilla spells that you can actually have. Not like all the ones that are just there specifically for certain NPCs to use at certain times. I'm trying to remember everything else too. And of course, like the 3 ghosts will be hanging around in what is it? Will be hanging around in the castle because it makes sense for them to hang around there. And because this area was supposed to be like a city kind of thing, like a city in the sky, It has town guards, which I'm going to be changing to fit my sort of new area that I have them in and such. And what I'm going to do is that for the guard captain, I'm going to make tests of that. So that way, though, instead of making two separate test NPCs and then confusing myself on how the hell I'm going to get it to work with the two different versions, I'll only have one, which will be awesome. So what do I mean by that? In case you were wondering, I wanted to create I wanted to create two different versions of Tess. One that's an NPC that wanders around inside of the lodge in the heart, pretty much. That sort of is in like the richy rich dress kind of thing, and doesn't have her weapon or armor in her inventory, and is just wandering around, being like a pretty princess, pretty much. And then once you ask her to follow you, she will change into her warrior equipment, pretty much, which is pretty much just going to be a different NPC in general. Not too bad. And that's kind of the idea that I had, though. But now, if I just make her the guard captain, I only need to create one NPC. So that's good. So for the armor that Tess is currently wearing right now on the modded playthrough, I have split that into three different versions. One is going to be the armor in which that the king, quote unquote, will wear, which is exactly identical except for the enchantment is going to be slightly different. Going to go for more of a vanilla feel, pretty much. The companion one's going to change, but it's going to be more of like a guard captain kind of a thing. And then there's another one that's going to be for the normal guards, which is just going to be the companion armor, but a little bit weaker. So I think instead of boosting skills and attributes by like 50 or so, we're going to make it like 20 for the guards. So it's going to make them they're still going to be gods in a sense. They're just not going to be as strong. And same thing with the swords as well. Like, no change is going to happen to the companion ones, but for the guard ones, they're going to be slightly nerfed. So that they're not just... But they're still going to be technically considered gods, in a sense. And of course, I'll be creating, like... Let's see, there's 21 skills, so technically 21 NPCs will need to be made. And I want to create all the random characters that I would love to have in the thing. And I think that's like another 12 NPCs. But the 12 are going to be in the castle, though. And I think between all of the locations, I think I'm going to have all the trainers be like randomly around. So at the very least, like the whole place will be populated. Yeah, it'll be populated. So at the very least, though, you're not going to go to like an empty room, or you're not going to be like into an empty castle and go, wow, this place would look a lot better if there was, I don't know, people. Instead, you're going to find like both of them pretty much. So that'll be fun. Trying to figure out. Okay, where's the village? I need it to be daytime over. There is one. But yeah, so that area is going to be very nice looking. The plan is that for the original mod that we're going to be grabbing is going to be the whole level. So the level 25 mod is going to be the original mod. And even then, I'm going to talk about it, like what I've changed and what I'm going to be adding to the whole table, pretty much. So though at the very least, though, it's not going to be like a one-to-one copy. It's going to be different. Because what they put at the top of the area that I'm going to be putting the castle instead was the Alien sort of like palace thing. Technically, we haven't seen that in the modded playthrough, but maybe we did in the mod playthrough. I'm not quite sure. Well, maybe we did. Maybe we did see it in a mod. I'm not quite sure. But we will. And I typically didn't like the look of that top area for the most part. So I kind of just deleted everything. But that isn't going to be like the final look or anything like that. That's just where it is right now, is that everything is deleted. And then I'll slowly start putting things back in there once I have finished off with what I want. With everything else. So the one thing that I find is a missed opportunity of the original mod is that the creator didn't make two separate versions. Sorry. Two separate versions. One is that it's where it is right now, which is in the normal world space of Tamriel, pretty much. Or a separate one that's in its own world space, which I would have preferred. So there is a house mod. If you don't know this, then it's a definitely house mod I do recommend if you want a really nice looking one. There is a house mod called Aaron Matthew. It's in a similar style as the one that I'm talking about, but it has a different aesthetic. I guess it is something you can say. The thing is that for the Iron Matthew, it's an alien dungeon, whereas this one is more of a. Whereas the one that I'm talking about is like an alien city, so it's a bit different, with a palace on top. And for Aaron Matthew, it has two separate versions. Sorry, I bit my tongue, so I'm trying not to like hurt myself even further. So there is the one in which that it is a part of the main Tamriel, and then another one in which that it has its own world space that you can go to. But I think it still has it still has a version of it in Tamriel, but it's expanded upon within its own world space, which is an amazing thing to have. But I think that the mod that I'm copying things from would have been better if it had its own world space in general. So it has a teleporter in Tamriel. That doesn't need to change. But what it should have done is it should have had its own world space that you go to, which would have been a much better idea. Yeah, I shouldn't go out in the water. I don't have any rockets. But yeah, so like, so pretty much I just moved everything one to one. I'm still missing a few objects, but these objects are more so just the lighting. So they're like the lighting fixtures, so it's not like I'm missing a lot. And then I just gotta double check to see if everything's actually in their proper spot. Just like I did with a different area within the mod, so that would go. At the end of the day, it'll be done. So I did learn my lesson. of the light levels, or not the light levels, but of the cells in general. So I have duplicated all the cells. I've just changed them so that though the duplicates have 0 AXM in their name, and then what I got to do is I just got to update the light levels of all of the cells. And some of the cells I find is a missed opportunity for the mod creator to have put them all as one cell instead of creating 3 cells for one area. Could have put them all as one. And I know that the one I want to do is going to take so long, but it's going to be so worth it too. So the one thing that I want to do is I want to see if I can create, because I don't think it's, did I ever reveal the castle? Maybe. But the castle that I want to move is Castle Anvil. There was a mod that I downloaded called Open Cities Reborn, I think. And I liked their look of 2 castles. I like their look of the Anvil Castle and the Anvil Castle and the Skingrad Castle. I like both of them. But between the 2 of them, I preferred the Anvil Castle because I love Anvil. Although their Anvil Castle had a little bit of extra features, which I didn't like, but I could easily just delete those, so it's not that big of a deal. Anyway, so that's exactly what I did. I didn't delete the features, but like, I don't think some of them transferred over, which was really weird. Anyway, the only thing that I did do was that I moved some things around, and yeah, I don't think I did anything else, did I? Yeah, so the original mod is the same as it is, or the version that I'm working on is the same as the original. The only thing is that, like, I changed some of the things to be 0 AXM instead, so that at the very least they're all ready to go specifically for the conversion. I just got to change the lair, the hideout, and their subsequent like objects that they're going to be using to also be 0 AXM. So that at the very least I can move them back into the original mod, but just make them so that they're inaccessible until those areas are finished. I'm going to try and make the hideout, not just the hideout, I'm also going to try and make it so though so the hideout, I might be able to move it to 2 cells maybe instead of 3, depending on how I want to do the ship part. The captain's cabin area I can't do anything about because of how it is, so I can't really do anything about that, unfortunately. But for everything else, I think I can do something about it. Again, I gotta plan around for the bottle ship part first. I've already kind of moved everything for the bottle ship, so it's all ready to go. I just gotta do it, pretty much. And I gotta change how the sigil stones are, how their editor ID is, again, for a second time. Again, they were originally AXM, and then when I changed it to 0 AXM, I had to do it all over again. So now I gotta do it again, so that they're sorted between the original vanilla ones and the DLC ones. So, hooray. Other than that, I don't think there's anything else. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else. It's mostly just get lair and hideout finished and ready to go, so that I can start actually using those areas. And then for the lodge, it'll have its own version, and then the castle will have its own version, and then we don't have to worry about anything anymore. The only thing is that the lodge version might not have the companion, though. Which will be the only sad thing. Unless I find out what makes the companion, and then I can move it over to the lodge. Which actually I could do, because I could have it so though I merge the companion with both the castle and the lodge, but just not do anything with them. Yeah, I think I can do it that way. It's not like it's gonna break anything. It's just gonna be really weird. Yeah, because the companion, I just want test for now. And for everything else, I just want to have the characters specifically just to flourish the area, sort of to build up that, just to sort of like make it more lively or busy. Similar to how I'm planning out the Minecraft 1.21 base, where I want to have like all the bees that I've ever collected to be out flying around the cherry tree, so though it's, for lack of a better word, just a buzzing, pretty much. So similar to that, also I don't want to say it flexes my creation, construction set knowledge, but like it also allows me to sort of build up the repertoire where I can say, hey, yeah, I built some NPCs. But yeah, while most of it is just like it was already there, but still. As I said, I would love to be able to reveal more information about it. But as I said about other stuff though, it's like it's still planned. It's not like it's going to be a final thing. It's because I don't want to get like I don't want to say I don't want to get like everybody's hopes up that like, oh yeah, he's going to do it. It's going to be awesome. Because it's happened so many times in Minecraft too, where like I'll be building something and then later on I'll be like, I don't feel like building it anymore, and then I'll trash it. Or I'll say I'll build it later, but yet I'll never remember that I said I was going to build it later. That's why I'm not trying to get anybody's hopes up, but like I definitely do want Lair and Hideout to be done, so that at the very least though, like since they're going to be finished, it's going to be awesome. However, again, I don't want to get anybody's hopes up. Just trying to make sure that it's easier for me to go through all the nonsense, pretty much. But yeah, but it's going to be a lot of fun just trying to get the companion to work. I got to get a lot more help on trying to get the companion to, at the very least, to work. Since this will be like the first companion I've ever made, so, or even that I've ever worked on, to be fair, so it's not the companion has to be perfect, but the companion has to at least work. And then, as I said before, in case nobody was there for that session or something like that, we finally found one! Oh my word. We found one. There he is. But yeah, like for what was it, the for my mod in general, I wanted to create the main mod as the ESM, and then later on we build like subsequent smaller mods that need my mod as the base port, similar to how most mods require Oblivion ESM. All of the ones that I create will require my mod as the basis if they need to. So like the leveled equipment, I need my mod. If I want to use like the extra companions, I need my mod. And this one was just going to be more so like just like OBSC injection. Or it was going to have like my mod's name, but OBSC injection. So though at the very least, it just injects like OBSC functionality into my mod. So like it allows like my armor to auto repair itself. It allows the hood to auto repair itself. It allows the weapon to auto recharge itself after usage or something like that. Like that's the thing that I'm talking about though. Like I would love to be able to have that kind of functionality in my mod itself. All right, so that's gonna be it for now. Next time, hopefully, arcanix will be finished, and yes. So, oh, before I forget, give me a second. I don't know if I said this, and I might have glossed over it for the Pokemon DLC segment, but pretty much, you won't be able to see all this stuff until way after. But the Pokemon DLC will go up to until the 24th of September. So up until the 24th September, so up until the day of its release, or the day that I get to actually play the darn thing, we'll go all the way up until the 24th, and then after the 24th, we'll continue onward with where the upload schedule left off. So, yeah, so I'll see you guys next time for some more Sercacraft.